it filters information from the environment and decides where to move, and then it settles. And as it settles, and it permanently settles, it has no further use for a brain, and so it digests it. Yeah. In architecture, engineering, and construction, what matters is focusing on what has to be done. So this is a very simple diagram, it's deceptively simple, this diagram. Let me come over here for a change. So there's a red curve and a blue curve. And there are three phases: design, construction, and operations. So during the design phase, the red and the blue curves are far apart. So the red curve is actual reality, the way things are now, and the blue curve is the way we want things to be. So we've designed a new road or a bridge or a building. It doesn't exist now. So actual reality is very different from the proposed reality. So those curves are far apart. You move into construction, and actual reality is altered to bring it into conformance with proposed reality. So that's a pretty steep drop. It approaches proposed reality. It may or may not actually ever touch it, but that's its goal, to reach proposed reality here. How does it do that? How does that happen? Well, people go and do work, and they take action. So action is represented by the yellow arrows that drive actual reality toward proposed reality. In order for this to actually work, though, that has to be informed action. So this is the reason we make location-specific affirmations in very complex data to show people what they're supposed to do. So drawings are, so maybe one of my goal is that maybe you will start to maybe not accept this idea that drawings are dumb lines and arcs. Yeah. Now it's also interesting when construction is complete right here. And by the way, this is a simplification. The whole thing is a simplification, but the proposal can bend and shift and go up at an angle, and it can alter. It can loop back around and start again, right? But it's relatively constant. So when you get into operations and maintenance of a power plant or a bridge or a building, maintenance is required. And if maintenance, so a maintenance action, again, is informed action that is driving. See, during the life of an asset, it degrades. That's just the way the world works. It degrades. It falls away from the ideal. So it requires maintenance. Right? If you fail to perform maintenance long enough, then the asset will degrade at an accelerating rate, and it will fall into ruin. And then the curves become far apart again. So informed action, right, is an important aspect of this. Okay. So where do we go next? I mean, we'd like to generally, I mean, this sounds like it's a good idea. And we'd like to generalize it in two ways. And I think the future will see two broad trends. There will be new kinds of hybrid environments. So we won't just have models or point clouds or hybrids of point clouds and models. We'll have the hybrid of point clouds and models, and they will also bring in, every time someone goes out on the job site and takes a photo, that will be hybridized. It will be instantiated in situ, positioned in place in the spatial environment. Every photo, like photosynth. You ever seen photosynth? It takes a set of photos and it puts them in place where they are. And you can move through space and get your viewing orientation so that you line up with that, and then that lines up with everything beyond the photo. So it's hybridized. The same is true for video, and you'll see, I'll show some examples of that. So within these, so video, like if I walk around here with a video camera and I take video, notice I'm walking on a trajectory. That trajectory should exist in the data hybrid. And I should be able to be anywhere I want to be in the data hybrid, and I should see, oh, somebody took a video that goes along there. Click on that, and now I move down into that, and I see the video, and you'll see that too. Now, within these hybrids, we want to do these location-specific focusing affirmations that provide information to people that informs action. So here's an example of one of the, so I'm in the model, as I just described, and I click on a node, and when I move into that node, you'll see that someone took a photo there. It happens to be a spherical photo. As I move into it, now I can see the photo. It's very simple. It's a very simple hybrid. I can spin around and look at my data environment from the vantage point of this photography. Okay. Now, once I'm in a hybrid node like that, then why don't I have some focusing devices that give me location-specific affirmations that are contextualized in that hybrid? Now, everything I've shown so far, up until this, is in our products today, and you can begin using it. Any of you, Martine and I can help Upe with the academic, you can get the software and do any of that. This one was from our research group, and we haven't put it in our products yet. But you can see the concept applies. And now I have trouble again, Juan. This one, we could play this one. So, how am I doing on time? Good. 50? Oh, great. That's great, because I have a lot more. So now here, so this is a technique. If you have this kind of a hybrid, why shouldn't you be able to do something like this? Just to, it's another way of revealing. And let's say you use this technique, and then you bring in other clarifying remarks and commentaries, and the whole thing together becomes an affirmation, which is stored so that other people can discover it, read it, and understand it later. So that's an idea. Where should I? What? Oh, this is the video. It's in the video. That's, thank you, Juan. Yeah. This is looping. Then, I'm sorry. Sorry I did this. It was my fault entirely. I should have been ready last night and we could have tested it. So, this one, okay, this is fine. This is fine. We can play this one. This one has the video on a trajectory. So we're actually in a model environment moving through the model along a trajectory of video. So we see the video, and you'll see the combination of video and model momentarily. This is at, in the United Kingdom, Network Rail is the national corporation that owns and operates the nation's railways. It's an enormous network, and they use our software. And they are very interested in what we're talking about both about hybridization and focusing devices. So here you can see the hybrid. Why hybrid? Right? It helps you understand. It's another, right? Take any data type that has valuable information should be present. It's a space for working in, for designing and communicating, planning, operating, testing. Okay, thanks. We can go to the next, please. This one is the same network rail. Along the rail track, and this is a point cloud, by the way, you'll see. You can see all the trees hanging over the rail lines. So they scan these, they scan the system, and they use this for everything they do, right? They just collect all the data, continuously collecting data. They're continuously modeling, they're continuously getting point cloud data, they're continuously making these profile section drawings that tell people specific information that's needed. So it should be in the environment, right? Not just in the abstract. And so they're doing this now. This is in our products as of early 2012, 2 years now. And it's spreading through the network rail ecosystem. And it's starting to snowball, and we'll see more and more and more of it. Okay. That's my son in a kayak. He's going that way. So where are we going? Like I said, new hybrid environments and new devices for focus within those environments. And I have a list of 12. You probably, if you followed, if you all agree with the idea that you have to focus, I hope. So, and some of you may have been thinking to yourself already, well, just putting a drawing in place, that's one way, but there probably are other ways. And I think you're right. There are other ways. I think this opens a frontier, right? Once we realize, well, we have to focus, then everything's easy. It's just, well, what techniques and tools and devices can we use to provide the focus that we need for whatever we're doing? Not just in spatial data, but in project scheduling. It's big data is not about the data. It's about making sense of the data, right? When you talk about big data, it's about making sense of the data, and that's through devices that help you make sense of it. So it's a mega trend. I already showed this. And this is the last part of my presentation, so I'll finish with something that's special to me. And I'm working together with a professor at University of Kentucky College of Architecture. He was one of my professors when I was a student there, and he's an artist and an architect. And he's a very thoughtful person, and he's prolific. I've never seen anyone produce so much work. And he does paintings and drawings. He does one painting every day. I think he's been doing that for years now. And this is one that he did. Well, these are all, so this is a section through some idea about some kind of house. And I'll just leave it up there for a second because it's just, to me, it's just beautiful to look at. What does it mean? But what is it? Nobody knows. I mean, who knows what it is? It's kind of like, well, maybe there's a floor there. But when he works on these, I've been talking about the idea of focus and using it during construction and operations, although I didn't talk about facility operations much. But this is back before that, not just in design, because in design, you're really orienting your work toward providing information for construction. But then back up before that, back up earlier than that, and what are you designing? What are you designing? So a lot of people who work in these professions, they have ways of trying to begin. One of the ways of trying to begin is to start drawing stuff. And while it's a very free and open process, and while it's happening, they don't limit themselves. They don't really know what any of this means. They don't really care. What they're looking for is they're looking for a kind of self-affirmation. They're trying to see, does any of this look interesting? Does any of this suggest anything? Does any of this hold in memory? Is any aspect of this remarkable in any way? And if so, how? And how should I try to develop that? So it's a creative process, right? And again, it happens through a focusing device. This is a way of focusing your thoughts and trying to figure out what they mean. And so we thought it would be interesting to try.
I just wanted to show the beginning of a next step in this. So this is
on, I put this on YouTube and
hand-built.
That was me. If you'd like to look at any of these again, they're mostly on YouTube, and email me and I'll send you any of this. But he builds the models by hand out of cardboard too. And we've made it into a point cloud by just taking an iPhone and walking around it and taking 40 pictures and uploading the pictures to a free service, and we got a point cloud back, and I opened it in our software. And then I put some call-outs. You can see call-out makes a model view on the sheet, and on the sheet I added a scan of his drawing. That's all I do. There's the model view, and I drew some yellow curves, and I added the photo of his drawing. We just took a photo of his drawing. We stick it on the sheet. And the rest is completely automatic. Everything that I add to the sheet, the curves and anything I want to draw there, plus his painting, shows up in the model completely automatically. That's how this works. That's how it's working at Network Rail when they get their details and their profiles in their hybrid. It just happens. And so this becomes a space, we were calling it a thought space, because this is a space of information that is informed by our own thoughts. So it's a thought space, which can only be good. And we're at the beginning of this investigation. He's rebuilt a new model and he's made a new set of paintings. And we've just started again. And the goal we want with this is we want to see what happens. See these curves? And I'll turn on another one that cuts in the other direction, and then a plan too. And we have all these curves. So we look at the painting, we say, maybe this matters, and we trace it. Maybe that matters. Maybe there's a volume we want to build in here. Who knows? And we can look at all of these curves from these different cuts at the same time in the same place. And we can use them as whatever those are called, to drive surfaces and solids. So that's where we're going to go next on this project. We're going to start modeling in that thought space, driven by our own thoughts. We wrote an abstract on this and sent it to a conference, and they just accepted the abstract, and we have to finish the paper by June 20th. And Mark is in Paris and Rome right now, but he took his computer with him, and he's going to keep working on it, and then we'll write the paper. And it's so easy. It's so easy. If any of you do this kind of thing, if you would like to try it, I'll help you. It's just kind of wide open. I'm just curious to see what might happen. And then I think you'll see, I'm going to turn on multiple at the same time. So I didn't talk about new kinds of focus devices, but on my blog throughout the year, and on our Bentley Innovation website and so on, we hope to, over the next year and then even beyond, we have many that we want to propose and introduce. Ways of focusing. So we can probably stop. Well, might as well, just a little bit more. This will come to an end. And then I have, I think it's the end. And we can, if you have any questions, and I have a bonus video too, if you haven't watched during the questions. Here I'm just, this shape, which is associated with the drawing title, is used to clip. When I apply this plan in the model, that shape clips anything that I add to this plan. The stuff, like that's the model there. It turned black and white, but I'm going to throw a switch and it'll be RGB again. But I think you got the idea. But let's go to the last. Yeah, I'm just repeating myself. Hybridization and focus, that's the future, in my opinion. Okay. And informed action. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Damos inicio a la sesión de preguntas y respuestas.
And this is just to show, we also do hydropower plants too, so it works. It's quite interesting. And I use some Chinese characters, so I don't know what they say. Okay.
Rob, we have some questions.
Oh, great.
About hybrid drawing, as you walk with the camera on the rail train, it was making the model, or the model was already made before you walk with it?
Oh, on the, for the railway?
Yeah.
The model is, I think, when Network Rail, they're continuously modeling. They're always modeling because conditions are always changing and they get new projects and they're, like they just announced some $7 billion project. And so now they're going to have to intensify their modeling there. And they will also intensify all of their data collection. So they put cameras on the front of the trains, drive the trains and collect cameras, and they do the point cloud scanning in the same way. So I'm not intimately familiar with their processes, but I can safely say that they're really kind of always doing something, and it's always a combination of data collection and focusing.
And the other question, what can be used in the side of the construction to read these models?
What was the last part of that?
To read the models?
On the construction
on
side.
the construction side.
Yes, yes. So there are lots of things that are starting to become things that people do on construction sites, like you have the data, right? And you want to positioning, right? You want to position the foundation or the steel grid, right? So you prepare the job site with location services and location equipment that help you directly take the data out of your data environment and see what it means on the real job site. And I'm not personally familiar yet with our engagement with those things, but I do know that we are very engaged with that. Yeah. And particularly in partnership with companies like Trimble, that they manufacture those positioning services and devices. And we have a very good strategic and working relationship with them for making those things happen. And I would add to that, that one of the things I hope to see in the future, and I believe we will see, is that, you know, positioning workflows, you know, they're about primary things. They're about, you know, I need to know where the steel grid is. I need to know where the column has to be placed, right? I don't need to know, you know, where the metal stud framing is relative to that, because I can just look at a drawing and it tells me, you know, it's 2 inches off the center, right? I don't need positioning systems to position a metal stud for me, right? So on primary originating systems, we're going to see positioning equipment, right? Engaged in helping us get the right positioning and have the confidence that it's right. And for everything else, we're going to want to have information environments that help us understand what the information means so that we know what we should do.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? Bueno, pues agradecemos al arquitecto Rob Snyder y le entregaremos un pequeño agradecimiento.
Oh, that's gracias. Gracias.
Un placer.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And this is from Guadalajara.
Bueno, buenas noches. Antes de terminar, el día de hoy tenemos con nosotros al director de la sección estudiantil del Colegio de Ingenieros de Jalisco, César Jacobo, con nosotros. Tenemos una sesión el día de hoy del Colegio de Ingenieros. Él nos va a platicar un poquito de lo que va a ser el evento.
Buenas tardes, compañeros. Simplemente es una invitación a pasar al Salón C2 en el edificio central. Es la cuarta sesión ordinaria que llevamos a cabo nosotros como sección estudiantil pensando en una jornada interuniversitaria. Es una jornada que planteamos visitar las 11 universidades que ofertan la carrera de Ingeniería Civil en el estado de Jalisco. Arrancamos en la Universidad Panamericana en el marco de este 13 Simposium. Nos acompañará con una charla el maestro Héctor Gómez Torres, el maestro es egresado de esta universidad, con un tema que se llama Historias de Éxito, empatado muy bien con el simposium. Tiene una duración de no más de 1 hora. Para quien guste, terminando este foro, nos pasamos al Salón C2. Es enfocado principalmente a estudiantes de la carrera de Ingeniería Civil de todos los semestres. Más que nada esa es la invitación. Y de parte del ingeniero Alejandro Guevara Castellanos, presidente del Colegio de Ingenieros Civiles del Consejo Directivo 24, la invitación a asistir al SIICAUP. Estamos ubicados en la Avenida Maestros, 1943. Es un colegio que tiene fundado desde 1968. Han emanado grandes figuras como el ingeniero Jorge Matute Remus, el ingeniero Enrique Dau Flores. Bueno, saber que es su casa y de parte del ingeniero una invitación cuando gusten visitarnos. Tenemos esta sesión, como les comento, aquí en la Universidad Panamericana, el 28 de mayo una participación en la Universidad de Guadalajara La Mar. El 11 de junio regresamos a CISEG. El 25 de junio vamos a la Universidad Politécnica de la Zona Metropolitana de Guadalajara y el 10 de septiembre, me ayudan a confirmar, es en el TEC de Monterrey. Por mi parte es todo, compañeros, muchas gracias.
Bueno, pues con esto concluimos de esta forma el primer día de nuestro ciclo de conferencias. Les agradecemos su presencia y los esperamos el día de mañana a las 10 de la mañana para comenzar puntualmente con la conferencia Sustentabilidad Holística por parte del arquitecto Norberto Nardi. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.